Hey, what's up, Internet? Your boy's back, this time with a vid on Frost. Once upon a time, Frost was a pretty shit outdated frame, but the devs decided to, like, quietly buff him over and over and over and over, like, patch after patch after patch, and most recently they have loudly buffed him with, like, a set of very explicit buffs and, like, changes to cold and Arcane Ice Storm, which is basically, like, a Frost Arcane. Like, it's pretty nuts. I do not understand why, quite frankly, because once they buffed his Icy Avalanche augment to give Overguard, I gave him a shot, and I was like, holy shit, wait a second, I thought this frame sucked. He's actually cracked! And he remains cracked, and has only been getting more and more cracked for basically no reason. I feel like back then he was already one of the best frames in the game, like, period. And he's definitely solidified that now, I would say. I'm not going to go over in depth what the changes are, but notably you can now shoot through ice, snow globes, not ice globes. Which is a massive, massive change. Like, this was like the one huge drawback to Blank Frost, that you couldn't shoot through the snow globe. It's kind of like weirdly changing the trajectory of my Envoy there, though. I don't know what that's about. But anyway, yeah, that's huge, huge, huge. And he's got some other, like I said, new Arcane's great. I'm a pretty good builder of frames, and I play Frost a lot, so I like to think I have a good build for him. So I figured I'd do a PSA and get y'all in on what the good stuff is. Alright, here it is. Basically, it's like these three cookie cutter builds, more or less, with some slight changes you can swap in here and there. It's not like perfectly locked in stone. And then you choose your Helminth ability. Like, do you want Precision Intensify? Do you want Umbral Intensify? How much range do you want? And what are you willing to sacrifice if you want more? And Energize versus Augmented. That's pretty much all you can... I mean, as far as, like, building him good, I think that's all there is really room for changing. Because, like, he needs both of his augments. Both of these are really important. Icy Avalanche is like his survivability mod. This is the mod that makes it so he does not need survivability and his whole team is getting overguard shit. This is an auto-occlude. It's absolutely correct. You need this augment. Like, if you're not playing with this augment, you're basically playing Frost wrong, if you ask me. Biting Frost, I've seen some arguments that this is kind of a win more mod, that, like, if an enemy's getting, like, armor stripped already, they're probably about to die. But in my experience, this really, really amplifies damage, and sometimes you really, really want that amplified damage. It's noticeable. 200% crit chance and critical damage is crazy, bro. That's a ton of damage, combined with them being full armor stripped, and also, you know, being completely frozen solid, which gives another extra crit damage bonus just for the cold status effect. Guess what? They get fucked up real bad. And then, as far as the other mods go, like, you really need your full efficiency, in my opinion, and flow, because, Frostus has a really, really bad energy economy by default. He has the lowest space energy in the entire game at 150, with flow that's 427, and his 4, which you will be spamming constantly. Like, the playstyle is basically constant spamming this, with some bells and whistles I'll get into in a bit. This costs 100 base, which is the most expensive an ability can be in the game. So spamming the hell out of the most expensive kind of ability you can cast with the lowest energy pool in the game is kind of, oof, that's yikes. But yeah, that's why we get a 175% efficiency and Archon flow in there. Although, you can kind of go without the efficiency. You can rock 160% and Energize. That's another way of going about it. I usually prefer more efficiency, though, because it's just more convenient and more consistent, I guess. You don't really need max range. Like, sometimes being, like, really high range is a bit of a detriment, because it does freeze enemies solid. So it's like almost the exact opposite of a speed nova. Well, I guess the opposite would be a slow nova, but this is like, it slows to 100%, so it's kind of bad if you want the enemies to, like, all rush towards you and such, you know. So sometimes you want to limit it a little bit, because, you know, enemies that are really far away you might not even get to before they unfreeze, or, you know, especially with this really low duration I have here. But the duration's really low because Arcane Ice Storm is a new arcane, and it's really, really good. It's basically an auto-include on Frost. I used to use Molt Efficiency here, which was 36 duration, pretty much for free. It was 36 if you have your shields up, but since Frost is constantly protected by Overguard, it's basically 36% free duration. Now, you get 40% free duration and 40% strength. Hey, that's good money. That's big money, easy money. Alright. Well, the thing is, I should note that you kind of want to avoid using Cold Weapon Companion with this. I found that, like, if you pair this with a Verglass Companion, it just, like, really fucks up the stacking for some reason. I don't know exactly what's going on, but, like, it's actually becomes a bit hard to stack if you have a Verglass Companion who's, like, shooting cold statuses out. If you don't, though, this is just easy stack. Like, you'll be spamming 4 the entire time, so this will be stacked up to full basically always outside of, like, the very first cast of the mission, you know? or like maybe like the first 3 or something. It might take a couple enemies, you know. But yeah, that's pretty much it, because survivability wise, you only need Icy Avalanche. And yeah, strength-wise, you need to hit a breakpoint. The only thing you need strength-wise is to hit the breakpoint to get full armor strip. His armor strip is 60% base, which means you need 167% strength to get a full armor strip, unless you run corrosive projection, in which case it's another 30. It acts as 30 strength towards this, so you only need 137% if you're using corrosive projection, which is another option. I just love my enemy radar, you know me. But yeah, that's, of course, enemy radar is very much to taste. It's more of a me thing. You can swap that out as well. But yeah, aside from that, that mostly only leaves the Helminth ability, which is the only other reason you would actually build strength, quite frankly. Because, I mean, your Snow Globe gets a little bit of health out of it, but for the most part, I mean, your 1 and 2 are completely useless. So the 2 will be a Helminth ability, and if you want more oomph out of that, you want to roll instead of precision. Otherwise, it doesn't really matter. You just go for precision. And yeah, Helminth ability-wise, I basically have 4 choices, and by far, I would say the best is actually Breach Surge. This actually used to be better than it is now, because it used to cover one of Frost's minor weaknesses, which is that he cannot freeze solid overguard enemies. They get like capped to 4 stacks of cold or something. And that's a problem, because enemies that are not frozen solid can shoot you and hurt you. If your entire survivability is relying on freezing people and getting overguard, then it's a bit of a problem. They can shoot you and hurt you. That being said, it's still not a big problem. Like, it's 1 eximus every once in a while. Cold still works on them. You'll probably be fine. The main major benefit of Breach Surge is that its damage output that it gives you is fucking insane, because its Biting Frost is one of the very, 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 very few things in the entire game that will affect Breach Surge. Breach Surge counts as weapon damage. It does crit by default. It has a 100% crit chance and a 1.5x crit multiplier. And Biting Frost makes that auto red crit and also gives a massive critical damage bonus to it. I found from my testing that this is like an 8 to 9x damage bonus. If I did the math, I did the math earlier and came out to 11x, but I was including the actual freeze, the cold damage +1 critical damage multiplier to the end, which is the new cold status freeze change. But from my testing, that doesn't actually apply to Breach Surge. So it's that being said, Biting Frost does, and it is a huge damage increase. It's actually nutty. I even have footage of just like spamming Breach Surge and Avalanche alone, and it kills enemy like these Exo Gokstad level 220 in the simulacrum. Like, they're taking millions. Well, not the good one. I mean, usually, rarely you get like a million proc. Whatever, I'll show you. Point is, it does a fuck ton of damage. And a little synergy, I'll just demonstrate this. This works on anyone, so it's not really like a Frost synergy, but a little fun fact that I think a lot of people do not know, that you can actually cancel the Breach Surge cast with another cast. Like the end lag of it, you can completely cancel it, and it'll still go off. So all you have to do is mash another key after casting it, and it'll cancel it with the other ability. So let me demonstrate. This is actually the augmented playstyle of what I use with Frost. Instead of spamming 4, you spam Breach Surge +4, which looks like this. They like that. And then you blow them up, and see, look at these particles murder people. And this is with a completely unstacked Tenant Envoy, and he's like galvanized usually. Yeah, these particles mess people up. It's actually crazy how much they do. And you might notice that freeze duration was a little underwhelming. That's just because I didn't have a Arcane Ice Storm charged enough. But yeah, because it does, like I said, it doesn't apply to like the very first cast of your 4. But let's do that one more time just for funsies. It looks like this. And then you boom, and then yeah, there you go. That's more like it. That's what happens when your Envoy is stacked with the galvanized. And they die pretty easy. I fat fingered Snow Globe there. I keep doing that. Snow Globe is 3 and Breach Surge is 3 on Wisp. So sometimes I cast Snow Globe by accident when I mean to do Breach Surge, but whatever. Okay, that's mostly it. I will mention the other Helminth options you have. Of course, Nourish is one of them. I don't have him on here because I don't think Nourish is actually very good for him. Like, he already has his energy economy covered for the most part. Like, taking any of these off is not a good look. And the viral you get is not nearly as good as just doing Roar, which is the other one I have main. Well, actually, I don't use this one that much, but I would definitely recommend this over Nourish if you just want a pure damage amp build. Roar is good old Roar. It buffs your damage and it's good. Like, I mean, we all know Roar is really good. It's like the damage Helminth ability, like that stuff. So if you want that, there you go. The other main two ones I use, this one is the one I actually use a lot. It uses Clairville's Wrathful Advance. This makes him a true jack of all trades because, like, the one thing Frost isn't is speedy usually. But if you can teleport around the map rapidly, that's pretty good. And it's kind of fun to just, like, do an instant, like, teleport to Avalanche, too, to reposition yourself. I don't know, it's pretty fun. And, of course, you know, the crit damage bonus is always there if you want to use melee weapons and get really, really high crit numbers, I guess, crit levels. This will be your guy. But I mean, I just use it for the teleporting. I just blow shit up with my envoy usually. Anyway, and the last one is silence, because silence is cracked. We're already building range, and we only need like so much strength to hit the breakpoint for our full strip on Avalanche. And silence will just make you super, super survivable. Like it kind of like supplants the Breach Surge's old ability to handle eximus. Silence will basically handle them for you, more or less. They won't get like full stunned or anything, but at least they'll stop doing the silence bullshit. I mean, eximus bullshit. And of course, it's got in general the stun for other enemies. I think silence is actually a really cracked ability. I think people are like, "Oh, Banshee's so squishy," but she's got silence, guys. I don't know if you noticed that. She's it's doing pretty well for herself. But this is a Frost. Like, he doesn't need it, honestly. But if you want to be super extra comfortable defensively, silence is your play, I'd say. But yeah, I usually prefer the Breach Surge, and I usually go this 250% range one because, like I said, I like 175% efficiency, and I like having a lot of range. This one actually doesn't immediately armor strip. It does actually need to either get some augmented or ice storm on there, but it's close enough, you know. As for shards, I'm just using a bunch of cast speed and a little bit of strength. Strength is kind of, if you need to hit a breakpoint, of course, the shards will be great, but for the most part, they're kind of unnecessary with all the free strength stacking you get on the builds now. I will say, Frost, I think, yeah, the one change Frost really still needs, and they still haven't done, despite all the changes, is that his cat speed kind of like works wrong-ish. Like, I've heard that it's like capped, basically, because, like, I guess what I hear on the block, and what it seems accurate to me, more or less, is that his 4 animation is sort of like broken up into 2 somehow, and like the second one doesn't benefit from cast speed. So like, even if you crank cast speed, it's only going to be so fast. And that does seem to be the case, because I would definitely stack tons more of these cast speed shards that seem to actually have more effect. But around here-ish, it kind of just falls off and doesn't really, anything more than this will not really be noticeable, in my opinion. Alright, I think I covered everything with that. Oh, I guess also, yeah, I gotta fix this too. Tenacious and Reinforced Bond are nice, of course, for, you know, just as a weapon platform. Tenacious Bond actually does not apply to Breach Surge Particles. I did that testing as well. Basically, I'm telling you, like, nothing actually applies to Breach Surge Particles crit, except for Biting Frost. And boy, does it. So, yeah, I think that's the best way to build him. Let's just do a demo in Circulus, a good old SP Circulus demo. Alright, jump cut. Build I'm using the 250% range one. And nothing really to note beyond that. I guess I didn't mention that Zeneric is good for the energy economy too. I should also mention that. That's also important. Well, I mean, it's not important, but it's definitely nice for consistency. Of course, Energy Nexus is another mod you could put in there, but obviously it's not nearly as good as the other energy economy mods. Efficiency and flow are way better, especially on a frame that's just spam casting the hell out of everything. Energize will generally get you what you want anyway. Just have to get those guys out of the way first. Not that impressive until you actually stack up your envoy, I would say. But yeah, alright, let's get it. I will show you how it's done. Here's what you do. You just spam Breach Surge, and then you use Avalanche. I mean, if you haven't seen my other video on Rhino, I should also note that I'm using the Tenant Envoy synth strat to reload here, which is part of why I was saying a Vigor swap is kind of good too, because it'll give you even more damage if you're doing this shit. But yeah, you can see they blow up, and then the particles will also blow up more guys. It's really, really, really good. I'm really saddened that the, what do you call it, they changed the Breach Surge so that it no longer affects enemies protected by Overguard. That's pretty cringe. I really don't like that change. I mean, I kind of like it as like a consistency thing. It does make sense that CC immune enemies should actually be CC immune, but I mean, I don't know, it's a big fucking bummer in my book, you know. I'd like the things I did that works before to continue working, you know. It's a pretty simple request there. But yeah, like I said, Snow Globe is kind of a good ability in context, but this is not one of those contexts. So Frost is basically a one ability frame. It's kind of hilarious, you know, like, if anyone ever told you that a frame, you know, like, needs all their abilities to be good, to be a good frame, like, they're fucking wrong. Frost is the poster child of, actually, I only have one good ability, but it's better than most frames' entire kits. So, I'm actually an absolutely correct frame. But, yeah, this is pretty much the most fucking damage you can, like, do to fodder enemies. Outside of, as far as, like, debuffs go. I mean, yeah, as far as debuffs go, that definitely is. I was gonna say outside of, like, Mirage, but those are just buffs. Imagine this with Mirage. Oh, baby. I don't know, I was just imagining being able to Helminth on instead of Eclipse, or, what is it, Mirror Image, the move that makes a bunch more of her. That would've been fucking tight. Also sad about how her, Eclipse is basically just VR for the Helminth now. The, buff for weapon damage is pretty shit compared to Roar. Unfortunate. And you usually don't, like, want both on ability, you just kind of, like, want one or the other. But yeah, that's irrelevant shit. I mean, there's not much to talk about. I might just cut this short, honestly, because, like, I think you guys get the idea. I just blow up some motherfuckers, and, you know, this is the whole playstyle, you just do this. And yeah, reminder that you should be canceling Breach Surge whenever you cast it. You can, yeah, this makes the build way more energy hungry to do it this way with Breach Surge and 4, because, I think Breach Surge costs 50 energy, so it just, like, increases the energy cost by 1.5 times as much, and it adds a little bit of cast time, but as you can see, for the most part, we're just canceling the cast. And, it goes hunky-dory. In fact, that's how I play, normal Wisp, too. I usually use Nourish with her, and I just spam Breach Surge into Nourish, even though I don't need the Nourish refresh, just because it speeds it up. And, also gives me better shield gating abilities. I'm still mad about how with catalyzing shields, Wisp Prime is worse than Wisp at shield getting, but whatever. Another random tangent. I mean, what else did it say? Like, obviously, you get the idea. This thing is absolutely insane. I mean, yeah, I guess I was gonna go over, like, the different amounts of range and what you might want, but I already kind of did that. Like, I mentioned how if you have too much range, these enemies are, like, not going to be coming at you quickly enough. That can be annoying for, like, fodder killing. Like, yeah, I have to jump around a lot, as you can see, because they ain't coming to me. I gotta come to them for the most part. And with more range, the more pronounced that effect is, of course. So, it might behoove you just to go for, like, the 190% range without overextended, because more strength is very good to have. And, if you don't need that much range, like I said, it could be slightly detrimental, if anything, to have even more range. Up to you. But that said, I don't know, I've seen, like, some real bad Frost builds out there. Like, I saw a Reddit post that was, like, oh my god, this new change to Frost's passive that gives him more armor, which I never mentioned because it's pretty useless. Now when I press 4, I get 4,000 overguard instead of 2,000. And but the build he posted with it was like, oh my god. I don't know about that one, buddy. He had rolling guard and prime sure-footed and triple umbral. I was like, alright, let's see how the Acolyte blows up. Let's give him... Did I get the Breach Surge on him? I just want to make sure. It doesn't actually matter, but... Oh, wow. Took 3 shots. Surprise. Usually only takes 2. Sometimes 1. But, obviously... not struggling with the Acolyte there, that's for sure. Well, it looks like I'm not cutting this video short, because we're almost done here. Or at least test short. I probably would have stopped testing as well, obviously, but... yep, dudes are about to spawn in 9 seconds. I'll blow them up and we'll get the fuck out of here. How's that sound? Sound good to you? Sounds good to me. Wait for it. There they are. Surprised they're not blown up as well as they should. Surprisingly, yeah, like, Jade seems to be pretty much the best at blowing these guys up. It's actually crazy how quickly she fucks them up. They also puts the Judgment proc on them. Alright, that does it. Oh, I guess I should also mention that if you're using the Talkin Envoy strat, you can, like, aim glide here, but anytime you do, or the cast here, like this, which is really nice for getting around, but anytime you do, it does switch to your actual, like, primary weapon, does take it out, so it kind of ruins the synth reload effect. A little bit of a nuance there to it that I figured I should mention, because I just realized it. Anyway, good old jumping to extraction. I hope you like the build. It is pretty good, I'd say. I've been using it for a long time. It's really fucking good. The alternate one I use a lot is yeah, the Flash Freeze one with Calavero's Wrathful Advance, but because usually you really just don't need the Breach Surge damage. It's really overkill. But yeah, that's it. Hopefully you like the build, the vid. Why is he looking up at the sky? Whatever. Okay, see ya! Bye!